Greetings everyone. Namaskar. Hope all of you are doing well by the grace of God. Let us start our Gita class with a prayer from the Vedas. This is from the Samhita portion of the Shukla Yajurveda. Each Veda, each of the four Vedas has one part called Samhita, first part. This Samhita portion of the Vedas contains hymns to various deities. Hymns seeking well-being in general, freedom from diseases, freedom from all kinds of problems for all beings. So let us chant one prayer. Om Tejosi. This is on page 60 of this book, The Universal Prayers, the middle one. Om Tejosi Tejo Mayi Dehi Viryamasi Viryam Mahi Dehi Balamasi Balam Mayi Dehi Ojosi Ojo Mayi Dehi Manyurasi Manyum Mayi Dehi Sahosi Saho Mayam Dehi Saho Mayi Dehi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. These hymns in the Samhita portions are all hymns generally seeking something. They also describe the glories of God in various aspects. There is also the element of seeking something. Because for our worldly life, we need a good health and some resources. So for that, it is okay to pray to God. This we know from the Gita that four kinds of people pray to me, Sri Krishna says. Among them, one is in artha, one who is in some kind of problem, distress, seeking relief. Then second one is jignasu, one who seeks knowledge of God. And third one is artharthi, one who seeks something, money or something else that is needed. And the fourth one is jnani, who does not seek anything. That we know from the Gita. So here this is the translation of this verse. O Lord, you are the embodiment of infinite energy. Viryam. Do thou please fill me with energy. We need energy. Without energy, nothing can be done. So prayer for energy. You are the embodiment of infinite virility, vigor. Please endow me with virility. You are the embodiment of infinite strength. Please grant me strength. You are the embodiment of infinite power. Grant me power unto me. You are the embodiment of infinite courage. Inspire me with courage. You are the embodiment of infinite fortitude. Please grant me fortitude. All these are strength, courage, fortitude, virility, energy. These are all necessary for our life, both for worldly life and for spiritual practice. Without this, we cannot do spiritual practice. Upanishad says, this Atman cannot be realized by a weak person. Na ayam atma balahine labhyaha, says the Upanishad. Balahina means a person who has no strength. How can such a person achieve God realization? Not even success in worldly life, let alone God realization. So prayer for all these things is okay. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May there be peace and joy in our hearts. May there be peace and harmony amongst all beings. And may there be peace everywhere in nature. Now, last time We were just about to complete chapter 9, but we could not complete. One last verse is remaining, 34th verse is remaining in chapter 9. In the previous 4-5 shlokas of chapter 9, we saw that even if a person has had a very bad past, Sudharachara, has committed many mistakes, even such a person can change and reach God quickly. Apichet Sudharacharaha, this verse number 30 in chapter 9. Sudharachara means a person who has had bad conduct, very bad conduct. Durachara, Sudharachara. Mam Ananya Bhak Bhajate, who prays to me without distraction, single-minded devotion. Such a person, Saha Sadhureva Mantavyaha, should be considered as a sadhu, regardless of his past. Because Saha Samyak Vyavasitaha, is established in the right path. He has given up all the bad habits, bad actions, and he is on the right track, moving towards God. Then such a person should be regarded as a sadhu. This we see in the case of many people who had very bad past. Last time we gave the example of Valmiki, but in our own time, you can see the life of Girish Chandra Ghosh, Kalipada Ghosh. They had the grace of Sri Ramakrishna, but they changed. Kalipada Ghosh was a buddy, friend of Girish Chandra Ghosh. They used to go together for drinking, both of them. But both of them changed. Once they came into contact with Sri Ramakrishna, their whole life took a new direction. They became sadhus, both of them. So that way nobody is exempt. Everybody can realize God, regardless of past. Very positive message. Such a person, verse number 31, Kshipram bhavati dharmatma. Very quickly such a person becomes a dharmatma. Kshipram means quickly, does not take much time. Once you make a right decision and stick to the right path, then you are moving forward towards God. Then you will be considered as a dharmatma. Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhaktah pranashyati. This is a very important message, positive message, encouraging message in the Gita that Bhagavan Sri Krishna gives. O Kaunteya Arjuna pratijanihi, declare with authority that my devotee shall never perish. Mama bhaktah na pranashyati, will never perish. He will always go to in the right direction and reach the goal of God realization. Whatever may have been such a person's past. Then the remaining two shlokas, 30-33, it's an expansion of this one. Everyone, including Papa Yoneha, those who have had very sinful birth. Sinful birth means some people are born in a very sad, undesirable circumstance. Sometimes the parents, one parent is maybe a drug addict or a homeless person. Sometimes the father may not even be known. Who is the father? The person does not know. Satyakama was like that. Satyakama was a Papa Yoni according to society's view, because he did not know who his father was. His mother was working as a domestic help in many different families when she was young. And during that time she got this son, Who the father was, the mother did not know. Probably she had relationship with several people. But look what happened to Satyakama. He became a great sage, became a teacher, Vedic teacher, became a great sage. Satyakama's story is so inspiring that when I remember him, I get goosebumps. Wonderful story of Satyakama, Chandogya Upanishad. There is no time to go into it. Some other time we will study Satyakama's story. What a grace, what a wonderful story. Beginning with such a beginning, not knowing the father, he became a great sage himself, a great teacher himself. So there have been examples like this. So it says in verse number 32-33, no one is an exemption. In many societies, including the United States of America, in the 21st century, women are not treated given equal treatment. Women are not paid the same wages as men for the same kind of work, same amount of work. It is true even now. It has been like that in other societies too, in India also. Though all the scriptures, Vedanta scriptures say that women are the embodiment of Divine Mother. Every woman is an embodiment of Divine Mother. It's all there in the scriptures. But society treats women not well. It's a known fact, even now. Women, Shudra, Vaishya, Papa Yoni, everybody, regardless of their circumstances of their birth or education or past, which may not have been great, everybody can reach God. That is the message of Vedanta. No one should be looked down upon. See, what a wonderful message this is in 9th chapter. Then we go to the last verse, which we have to do today. Last verse is the concluding instructions. Very important instructions are given in the 9th chapter. If you just study this one sloka, 34th sloka in chapter, and follow this one, that's enough. You don't have to read all the remaining 699 slokas of the Bhagavad Gita. This is one of those slokas which contains the essence of spiritual life, instructions for spiritual life. Bhagavan here says, sloka number 34. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi yuktvaivam atmanam matparayanaha. Beautiful sloka, very important instructions are given here. Here Bhagavan says what we have to do to reach our goal of spiritual realization. The goal of human life is to know God. That we have to know. What is the goal of life? Otherwise we'll be wasting our whole life without knowing what to do. Sri Ramakrishna says the goal of human life is to know God. So that goal should be fixed. I want to know God. I want to know my true nature, which is divine. I want to overcome ignorance, that I am the body and the mind. I want to merge with God, I want to be with God. That should be the goal. Once that goal is fixed, how to achieve that goal? 2-3 steps are given, simple steps everybody can do, nothing different. We don't have to go anywhere else. We can stay where we are. We don't have to do anything else. We can do what we are doing. Nothing needs change. Only our mind has to be directed towards God. So what are the instructions? Chapter 9 verse 34, last verse in chapter 9. Manmana bhava madbhakto bhava madhyaji bhava mam namaskuru. 4 instructions are given in the first line. Manmana bhava means fix your mind on me. Manaha means mind. Our mind thinks of all kinds of things, many very good, many very bad, and all in between things. But we should think of God almost all the time. Manmana bhava, fix your mind on me. First instruction. We have seen how to do this one. In the midst of all our activities and work, We can keep our mind on God by doing all work as worship, dedicating everything to God. Treating oneself as a dasa, servant of God, doing everything as a service to the Lord, Prabhu. Like that, we can connect every activity to God, spiritualize every activity, convert every activity into worship and service. Then we are always connected with God because we are always doing something. That we saw in verse number 27. Remember verse number 27 in chapter 9. There Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, whatever you do, do it as an offering to me. Try to remember verse number 27 in chapter 9. Important instruction which everybody can do, not difficult. There Bhagavan says, Yat karoshi, yad ashnasi, yad juhoshi, dadasi, yat tapasyasi kaunteya tatkurusha madarpanam. Whatever you do, including eating, as ashnasi, that specifically he mentions eating as an example of activity we all do. Everybody eats. But that has to be converted as worship, done as worship. Eating is worship. All activity that we do. Only thing is we should not do immoral, illegal activities and offer it to God. That won't work. We should give up all nishiddha karma, first step in spiritual life. So that is how we have to keep our mind on God all the time. Manmana bhava. Every step we take is worship of God. We are going towards God. Every word I says the glory of the divine Lord, of the divine Lord. Stotrani sarva giro, Shankaracharya says. All walk, gi means walk, sentence, speech. Whatever word I say, it's a stotra, it's a hymn to the Lord. If I do it that way, with that spirit, only mind, our attitude has to change. What we say need not change. For work purposes, we have to talk about work. You talk about work. But in the mind, nobody else need know. No need to discuss with anybody. They won't understand. In your mind, you keep the thought that this is all worship of God. Whatever work, yat karoshi, general statement, whatever you do. Tat kurusha madarpanam, 927. That is important instruction to take home from chapter 9. And then 34, last verse. Manmana bhava, keep your mind fixed on me. Mad bhakto bhava, become my devotee. We have to become devotees of God. Any aspect of God. God has infinite number of aspects. Everybody can choose their aspect, how they want to worship God. Your choice. You can worship God as Rama, as Krishna, or Durga, as Sri Ramakrishna, as any other Tripura Sundari, Lalita, Rajareshwari, Gauri, Shiva, Krishna, whatever you want, in any form, you can worship God. They are all different forms of the same one reality. So, mad bhakto bhava, second instruction. We have to be devoted to God. Second instruction. Third instruction is madhyaji. Yaga means yajna. Yajna means offering something, doing some ritual or any work as an offering. That we saw in the third chapter, yajna. Cosmic yajna, individual yajna at the individual level. Both we have seen. Madhyaji means do all actions as sacrifice to God, offering to God. Madhyaji, mam namaskuru, bow down to me, namaskar. How to bow down to God? You don't have to go to temple or any other Himalayas, Kedarnath or Badrinath, God to namaskar. Right where you are, God is there, sitting next to you. That is God. That will come in the next chapter, 10th chapter. Where to go to see God? Nowhere else. Here where we are, God is here. The next person, in any animal, in any plant, in any object, in this thing also God is there. Remember Holy Mother's instruction. One day, one family member, Holy Mother's family member, swept the floor using a broom. They don't have in India, they don't have vacuum cleaners and everything. Broomstick. She swept it, and after sweeping the floor, she carelessly threw away the broom somewhere. Holy Mother noticed it and told her, see, please don't do that one. Keep the broom after using it in its assigned place gently. Why? The broom is as much a member of the family as you and I are. In the broom also the same consciousness is pulsating, vibrating as it is in me and you and everybody else. No difference. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram, we saw 13:27. I've mentioned that sloka so many times. Sarveshu bhuteshu, in all the beings, including inanimate objects, animals, plants, people, good people, bad people, men, women, educated, uneducated, rich or poor, in all of them, the same doing is present in the same way, no difference. But everybody is not able to realize or reflect God's presence to the same extent, some more, some less. That's where the difference comes. God's presence is same, like sunlight falls on all the objects in the same way, to the same extent, but different objects reflect sunlight to different degrees. If the object is highly polished, like a mirror, almost all the light that falls will be reflected, like another sun you can see. If it's a dull object, very little is reflected. If it's a black object, nothing is reflected. So we can polish our mind. Each one of us can make our mind highly polished, reflecting surface, reflecting God's presence 100%. Saints have done that one. Sages and saints. We are in the process. Very wicked people, their minds are not polished, full of impure ideas. God's presence is there to the same extent, but they are unable to know or reflect God's presence. At some time they will change, as we saw in the previous 3-4 slokas, but the time for some has not come. It will come at different times. That's what we saw in the 7th chapter. In the 7th chapter, there is a verse, I think it's verse number 3. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye. Out of thousands of people, one rare person even tries to realize God. Most of the people are happy with the worldly life. Of those few who even try to realize God, only one rare person actually realizes God. Yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mameti tattvataha. So here, mam namaskuru. So how to realize God? Bowing down to God. Seeing God's presence in everyone and everything. There is a book that Swami Shraddhananda wrote. Swami Shraddhananda was a disciple of Swami Virajananda, and he was the head of the Sacramento Center, Swami Shraddhananda. I had the good fortune of meeting him a couple of times. I went to Sacramento once, and he came to Chicago where I was there a couple of times. So he's written a book called Seeing God Everywhere. That's the title of the book. We have in the bookstore, Seeing God Everywhere. There explains how to see God in everything, including the most wicked person we can see God. That person we don't have to discuss and tell them God is in you, he won't understand. He will argue. No need to tell. In our mind we can see God. Mam namaskuru. Wherever you see God, bow down to me, bow down to everything, because everything in God is present in everything. That will come in the next chapter. How we can see God in everything, including inanimate objects and nature and people. The whole next chapter is 10 chapters, Vibhuti God describes how to see God in everything. So we don't have to go anywhere else to bow down to God. Wherever you are, God is there, and the thing next to you, bow down to you, including a broom. As Holy Mother said. Mam namaskuru. 4 things. Manmana bhava, keep your mind fixed on me. Mad bhakta bhava, be devoted to me, become a devotee. Madhyaji bhava, do all work, sacrifice, rituals, everything as offering to me. Mam namaskuru, bow down to me. 4 things. Then what happens, the result of doing these 4 things is in the second line, verse number 34. Mame vaishyasi yuktva evam atmanam matparayanaha. Mameva yashasi, you will reach me alone. You will reach God. But seeing God in everything, going down to God, being devoted to God, doing everything as offering to God. All of this, most of us can do it without much difficulty. It says, being wholly intent on me, matparayanaha, uniting yourself with me, mam atmanam yuktva, yuktva evam, you will surely come to me, mameva eshyasi, we will go to God, our destination. Matparayana means, the word parayana, not parayana, two different words, similar sounding. Parayana, parayana. Parayana means chanting. Vishnu Sahasranama parayana, like that one. Not that one. Parayana. Parayana means, para means supreme, ayana means destination, goal. Supreme goal of life is God. All other goals, the other short-term goals. For example, I have to finish the degree if I am a student. Then I have to get a job. Then I have to do other things. Or on a daily basis, I have to go and get groceries. These are all goals, short-term goals. That we all do. But supreme goal, parayana, param ayanam, parayana, is God. Mat parayanaha. Make me the supreme goal of life. Other goals are short-term, to the extent necessary we do. But supreme goal of life, parayana means, para means supreme goal of life, is God. Everything else will come later, secondary. One goal we have to always try to achieve in human life is God. That's why human birth has been given to us. Only human beings can realize God. Animals cannot realize God. Even devas in the heaven, they cannot realize God. They have to come back to human life. They are there to enjoy the fruits of their good deeds, punya karma, for a short time. It's a temporary abode, like going on a cruise. It will end. Then they have to come back to human birth. It's only from human birth that we can realize God. Animals cannot realize God. Rare exceptions are there. As exception in Ramana Maharshi's ashrama, there was a cow. Its name was Lakshmi. She got realization. From the cow, animal life, she got realization because of Ramana Maharshi's grace. But that is only very, very rare exceptions. Otherwise, only human beings can achieve God. So, Matparayanaha means the last word. We have to make God the one and only supreme goal of life. Other things only to the extent necessary. These things we have to do. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaje mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi yuktva evam atmanam matparayanaha mam atmanam eshyasi. You will reach me, supreme goal of life. Matparayanaha, keeping me as the supreme goal of life. That is the final instruction in chapter 9. This sloka alone is sufficient. If you do these 4 things, that's all it takes to realize God. Everybody can do these things. Wherever we are, from there we can do these things. He makes it so simple. And no one is exempted. As we saw in the previous slokas, whoever you are, regardless of the circumstances of our birth and living life, We may be living in a slum, but if you have this, if you can do these things, you realize God. That is the concluding message in chapter 9. Very nice chapter. Now we go to chapter 10, which has very practical instructions on how to see God in everything. Sri Krishna has been saying, see God in everything, I am present in everything, I am present in everything, like this he has been saying. How is he present? In various things. Many things are different from each other. How can I see God's presence in various things that I see every day? That is described in chapter number 10, Vibhuti Yoga. Vibhuti means the glory of God. How to see God in everything. That is the theme in chapter 10. So let us begin chapter 10. Here the chapter begins without Arjuna's question. Many chapters begin with Arjuna's question. Here Bhagavan himself starts the discourse. Sri Bhagavan Vacha. Sri Bhagavan Vacha. Bhuya eva mahabaho srunu me paramam vachaha yatteham priyamanaya vakshyami hitakamyaya. The blessed Lord said, Bhagavan said, once more, bhuya means once again, bhuya eva. So many times he has described, for example in chapter 7, he has said how he is present in everything. Punya gandham prithivyam, I am present in the earth, the smell, like this one. I am present in the fire, I am present in the sun, I am present in the moon, and the power to shine. Like we are already said, Prabhasmi Shashi Surya Yoho, like this in 7th chapter. Now this whole chapter is a description of how to see God in everything. Many more examples are given, including in wicked people. Sri Bhagavan Vacha. Bhuya, once again, Bhuya eva mahabaho srunu me paramam vachaha. Paramam vacha, supreme words. These are not ordinary conversation. What Sri Krishna is saying, every word carries meaning. Every word is significant. Not casual conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. Paramam vacha, my supreme advice, supreme word. Srunu, listen. Yat te aham priyamanaya. Yat te aham. 3 words are there in that first one. Yat te aham. That which I am going to tell you. Why is Sri Krishna giving this advice? The reason is te priyamanaya. Priyamana means Arjuna is known to take Krishna's words. He takes it every word seriously. What Sri Krishna says, Arjuna takes seriously and with great interest, with great concentration, listening to everything Sri Krishna says. But many people are listening to lecture, but their mind is roaming somewhere else, or they are sleeping. Arjuna was interested and took great delight in Sri Krishna's words. Yatte ampriyamanaya, to you who takes great delight in my words. Hitakamyaya, why am I saying all these things? For your well-being. Hita means well-being. Kama means desiring your well-being. In order to help you, to uplift you, I am going to tell these words again. Vakshyami, I am going to tell. This introduction. So what we should do, we should take interest in listening to Sri Krishna's words. Priyamanaya. It's not casual reading some other book. Every word in the Gita has to be listened to and contemplated upon with great joy and earnestness. Then it will produce result. Swami Turiyananda used to read one passage from any scripture, from Gita or Upanishad or any scripture, and keep the book and do reflection, mananam, shravanam, mananam. You would reflect on it, that passage for a long time, and that reflection would become meditation, nididhyasana. Deep reflection turns into meditation. You meditate on that sloka. Then the deeper meaning will become clear. When we read, only the verbal meaning we will understand. Vachyartha. But the deeper meaning to understand, we have to meditate on what we read. We have to reflect on what we read. Sravanam, mananam, nididhyasanam. 3 steps we have seen before. Then only the deeper meaning will become clear to us from inside. So that is why we have to take delight, and with great earnestness we have to study the Gita. Second verse. Name vidusura gana prabhavam namaharshayah ahamadirhi videvanam maharshinam cha sarvashah. Suraganaha, all the gods and goddesses, groups of gods and goddesses. Name viduhu, do not know my origin. Name prabhavam viduhu. Prabhava means origin. He is the origin of everything, God, and his origin we don't know, because there is no origin. He is the original of everything. From him everything originates. He himself did not originate from anything. He is always existent. Me prabhavam suraganaha naviduhu. The host of gods do not know my origin. Me prabhavam. How did God originate? Sometimes children ask, what is God's birthday? There is no birthday for God. Najayate namriyate. There is no birth, there is no death, there is no change. Everything else has a birth, death and change. 6 changes we have seen. Shadvikaraha. God doesn't have any change. God has no birth, God has no death. Always present. Everything else is temporary, comes and goes. So even gods don't know my origin. The Maharshaya, even Maharshis don't know my origin. Maharshis like Bhrigu, all those people, Maharshis whose names we see in the Upanishads and Puranas, they also don't know my origin. Ahamadirhi devanam maharshinam cha sarvashah. Devanam, of all the gods, maharshinam, of all the Maharshis, great sages, aham adihi, I am the origin. Everything originates from God. God himself has no origin. Even the deities and gods and Maharshi don't know my origin. Because he has no origin. It has always been there. Then, third verse. These are all introduction to say how important this knowledge is. Rare. Third sloka. Yo mamajamanadim cha vetti lokamaheshwaram asammudasya martyeshu sarva papai pramuchyate. Who knows me as unborn and beginningless. Mam ajam anadim. Ajam means birthless. Your word ajaha also means a goat, but that is not the meaning here. Goat. Aja means birthless. God has no birth, there is no beginning. Anadi, there is no beginning. Everything has a beginning and an end. Lokamaheshwaram yaha vetti. One who knows me as the Lord of all the lokas, worlds, of all the worlds. Recently, I read an article, short news article, which says in this one galaxy, Milky Way galaxy in which we live, it has billions of stars. Our sun is one of them, a relatively small one. Billions, not millions. And so many stars have planets around them, and some planets have moons around them, satellites. So huge. This is just one galaxy. How many galaxies are there? Millions of galaxies, we don't even know. Such infinite dimension the world is. God is the creator of this one. We can imagine. He is infinite. In the Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, Brahman is described as Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Very famous sentence. Satyam, Brahman is Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Satya means something that is always there, unchanging, eternal, infinite. Jnana means consciousness, not material in nature but spiritual, pure consciousness. Ananta means infinite, no end in any way. This is a famous sentence in the Taittiriya Upanishad. Swami Turiyanandaji, when he left the body, this sentence he said, then left the body. He was in Varanasi with serious health problems, carbuncle and everything, surgeries. He could not even sit up. And on the last day, morning, he said, this is my last day, he said. He was a great yogi, he knew everything. And Swami Akhandananda was visiting him. Because Turiyananda Swami was sick, Akhandananda came to visit him. He was sitting next to him. And Swami Turiyananda was so weak, he was lying down, he could not even sit up. But he wanted to sit up to leave the body as a yogi. So he requested his attendants to help him to a sitting position, and with pillows and everything he sat. And then he said this famous Vedic sentence, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, 3 times. Swami Akhandananda also repeated. Then he closed his eyes in full consciousness. So that is, Brahman is beginningless, endless, infinite, pure consciousness. That's what it says here. Mahamanadyam, no beginning, Lokamaheshwaram, Lord of all the universes, not just this one earth, which is a significant dot in the universe. Lokamaheshwaram, the Lord of all the universe. Yaha mam veti, a person who knows me in this way, saha asammudaha, is an intelligent man. Muda means one who has no knowledge, like a foolish person, we can say in a crude language. Asammuda means a wise person. He is very intelligent. That person knows everything. If we know God as beginningless and infinite and as the Lord of the whole universe, then we know the truth. Then we are asammuda. If you think of God as a limiting God to one image or one form, then we are mudas. We don't know the truth. So, jnana, knowledge is of 3 kinds. Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic. That will come in a later chapter, 17th chapter. So, I will study that when you get there. Asammuda saha, such a person is an intelligent person. Manushyeshu, among all beings, is an intelligent person. Saha sarva papai pramuchyate, becomes free from all sins. Any sin that one may have committed will become free from that one. One who knows me as unborn and beginningless and as the great Lord of all the worlds is released from all sins, sarva papai pramuchyate, for he is undeluded among men. Manushyeshu saha asammudaha, the intelligent, he knows the truth. Now we go to shloka number 4. Still this is all introduction only. Buddhirjnanam asammoha kshama satyam damashamaha sukham dukkham bhavo bhavo vayam cha vayameva cha This sloka is not a complete sentence. We have to read the next one also, 5 also. 4 and 5 make one sentence. Sloka number 5. Ahimsa samata tushtihi tapodanam yasho yasha bhavanti bhava bhutanam matta eva pritagvidha. So 4 and 5 to be read together. All these a list of things, list of virtues, good qualities. This list, after giving this list, Sri Krishna says, Matta eva, all these things originate from me alone. Matta means from me alone. Everything comes from God, good and bad, everything. Depends upon our karma. In some people, some personality, they reflect good deeds. They do good deeds and they reflect good qualities. And some people do the opposite. But all of these things, good or bad, whatever I do, God is the power behind that one. Like the sun is the power behind everything that happens on this earth. Using sunlight, Sri Ramakrishna says in the Gospel, somebody reads a scripture, somebody commits a forgery, same sunlight, but we can't blame the sun for that one. It's his power. How we use it, we have to, is our responsibility. God has given this body and all the faculties. We can speak, we can walk, move about and do things. How we use this, all these instruments depends on us. You can use the body, mind to do good things or to do bad things. But God is not responsible. He has given the power. Because of Him, He has no kartatva. He does not do anything Himself. Just the sun, He does not come down to earth and make things happen. He stays in the sky, provides the power. That's all. That's His function. So people do good and bad things. So here, all this list of things He has given, they are all from Him. Let me read again 4. Buddhi means intelligence. Buddhi means that faculty of the mind which enables people to discriminate between right and wrong, between good and bad, to differentiate. Discriminating faculty, a function of the mind. Buddhi. Jnanam means knowledge. Knowledge here means knowledge of the self, not necessarily knowledge of the world. Subjects such as chemistry, biology, history, sociology, mathematics, they are one kind of knowledge, aparavidya. Not that. Jnanam here means paravidya, knowledge of God, or knowledge of the self, atmik jnanam. Buddhi jnanam. Asammoha. Moha means delusion. Not being able to think in a straightforward way, confusing everything. Seeing everything in a wrong way, misunderstanding everything, that's moha. Here it says asam moha means a clarity of vision. Buddhi jnanam asam moha. Kshama. Kshama means endurance. Kshama here means kshama akrustasya taditasya va avikrita chittata. If somebody does something wrong to us, then we should not react and become angry and upset. That ability to absorb everything and remain calm is kshama or kshamata. Kshama, forbearance. Forbearance. Kshama also means forgiveness. Forbearance. Ahimsa, buddhir jnanam asammoha, kshama satyam, truthfulness. These are all virtues. All of them are from God. Satyam dhammaha. Dhamma means control of sense organs. You have 10 sense organs, not counting the mind. Mind is the 11th one. They all go in different directions. But we should control them and make them go towards God. When we want to see something, we should see something that is auspicious. When we want to hear something, we should hear something that is auspicious, good for us, for our spiritual life. That's why sometimes we say the prayer, Bhadram karne bhishrunayama devaha. O Lords, O gods, with our ears may we see only auspicious sounds. All kinds of sounds are available. Some are very good, some are very bad. We should hear only auspicious sound. That distinction we have to make. That's a function of the buddhi. Satyam damaha, control of the sense organs. Shamaha, control of the mind. Mind wants to think all kinds of good and bad things, but we should put only good thoughts into our minds always. That controlling the mind is called shama. Sukham dukkham, happiness and unhappiness, both come in human life. Animals also suffer sukha dukkha. Plants also suffer sukha dukkha. You can imagine a tree or a plant standing outside 24 hours and day and night under all weather conditions. Snow, sometimes rain, sometimes very hot, sunlight. Under all conditions, sometimes water, rain pouring, sometimes not enough rain. Under all conditions, without complaining, the tree stands there. Taruhu. That ability is Saishnuta. Tree also undergoes sukha dukkha. Animals also, people also undergo sukha dukkha. Sukham dukkham. Bhavaha abhavaha. Bhava abhava. Existence, non-existence. We are always not existent as bodies and minds. Sometimes you are present. So that the presence and absence, being and non-being, all due to God, God's power. Bhayam cha abhayameva cha. Bhaya means fear. Abhayam means fearlessness. Everything in this world is fraught with fear. There is a very nice verse Bhartrhari wrote. In his Niti Shatakam. Many years ago, I gave a series of Sunday talks on gems from Bhartrhari. Bhartrhari wrote, he was a king. He wrote 3 books. Sringara Shatakam. Shatakam means a book containing 100 hymns. Niti Shatakam. Vairagya Shatakam. Some Vairagya Shatakam, some verses I took and spoke. There, in one verse, Bhartrhari says, all things in life, whatever we have, is subject to fear. For example, if a person has good health, what's the fear? Fear of losing it. A person has wealth, lot of money, fear of losing it. A person has youth, he will be afraid that one day youth will go, will become an old man. Everything in this world that we have is fraught with fear. There is only one thing which has no fear. What is that one? That one thing that has no fear, no can lose it. He will say, Sarvam mastu bhayanvitam bhuvendranam vairagyameva bhayam. Bhuvi means in this world, on this earth. Sarvam mastu bhayanvitam. Everything that we have is associated with fear. Vairagyameva abhayam. Vairagya confers fearlessness. Because you have nothing to lose. You have no attachment, you have no possession. What is the fear? You are not attached to the body. If the body goes, it is actually a good thing. This is upadhi which is causing so much trouble. Better if it goes, then I can be free. Sarvam masta bhayanvitam bhavendranam vairagyameva bhayam. Only vairagya, non-attachment is the only thing that confers total fearlessness. There is nothing to lose if you are vairagi. Bhayam cha abhayameva cha. Fear and fearlessness. Then sloka number 5. The list continues. Ahimsa means non-injury by thought, word and deed. Samata. Samata means equanimity. This is a very important thing that we all have to practice. It has come many times. It will come again also. One thing we all have to do is to go back and review earlier verses which we saw on the same topic. When you come across the word samatha, equanimity under all circumstances, what are the verses where it has come before? So many times you have studied samatha. 4 or 5 times it has come so far in the earlier chapters. It will come later also in the 14th chapter. For example, in the 2nd chapter, Sri Krishna asked us to practice equanimity under all circumstances. 2nd chapter, Shloka 38. Sukha dukkhe same kritva labha alabhau jaya jayau tato yuddhaya yujyasva naivam papamavapsyasi. First line, chapter 2, verse 38. Sukha dukkha. Both we have to same kritva, you have to look upon them equally. When sukha comes, happiness comes, we should not be too much elated, because next moment dukkha will come. Nothing is permanent. Dukkha. Sukha dukkhe same kritva. When dukkha, unhappiness comes, any kind of unhappiness problem comes, you should not be too much dejected or unhappy or depressed, because next moment things will change. Sukha dukkhe same kritva labha alabhau same kritva. Gain and loss. Labha means gain, alabha means loss. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose, sometimes we gain. Jaya ajayau same kritva. Jaya means success. Sometimes we succeed in what we do. Ajaya means failure. Sometimes we fail to achieve the result we wanted to achieve. This all, everybody's life, these things have. So what is the instruction? Same kritva. We have to consider all of these equally, remain equanimous. When good things happen, we should not become too much elated and assume it will be there like that. No. When dukkha comes, unhappiness comes, we should not become too much depressed or sad or angry. We should take it calmly. So that is equanimity, samatha. That is in 2nd chapter, verse 38. Again, in the same chapter, verse 48, samatha comes. How many times samatha has already come? Unless you go back and connect, it will be just another word. So you have to associate the ideas, and that will help us to fix these ideas in mind. You have to remember. 2nd chapter, shloka number 48. There, Sri Krishna says, remain equanimous in success and failure. He says, Yogastha kuru karmani, 248. Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. Siddhi means success in what we do. We do so many things, sometimes we succeed. Asiddhi means sometimes we fail. Both happen. Which happens when we cannot know. We can't control, we can't predict. Siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva. Remaining equanimous in success and failure. Samatvam yoga uchyate. The essence of yoga is equanimity. Equanimity is the central point in yoga. Samatha, that's why we are spending more time on that one. Second word in chapter, in verse 5, chapter 10. Ahimsa samatha, equanimity, 238 to 48. Then again, it comes in the 2nd chapter describing the qualities of a sthita prajna, very important portion of 2nd chapter. Verse 55 until end of chapter 2, verse 72. Arjuna asks the question, what are the qualities of a sthita prajna? Sthita prajnasya ka bhasha samadhisthasya Keshava. O Arjuna, O Krishna, Keshava, what are the qualities of a sthita prajna who has achieved samadhi? Sthitadih kim prabhasheta kimasita vrajeta kim. How does he behave? In response to that question, Sri Krishna gives from verse 55 onwards until end of chapter 2 a list of qualities of a sthita prajna. Among them is samatha, equanimity is one among them, very important quality. See, it already come 4 times so far. In verse number 56, chapter 5, Sri Krishna describing qualities of a Sthita Prajna says, Dukkheshu anudvigna manoha, Sukheshu vigataspraha, Vitaraga bhaya krodha, Sthitadhir muniruchyate. Dukkheshu, in dukkha anudvigna manoha, mind should not become disturbed. Should not become disturbed if dukkha comes. Dukkheshu anudvigna manoha. Sukheshu, when sukha comes, vigataspraha, we should remain free from aspiration for more desire. Sukha also will go away one day. Vitaraga bhaya krodha, free from attachment, raga, free from fear, bhaya, free from anger, krodha. Such a person, sthitadhir muniruchyate, is a Sthita Prajna. So their equanimity, samatha came. How many times? 228, 248, 256. 3 times it has come. Again it has come in 5th chapter. 520. Important verse. Why I am saying all these things? Because all these qualities we have to practice and keep in mind. We have to keep them in mind. To keep them in mind, we have to go over them again and again, including previous slokas. We should not forget previous slokas in previous chapters. Periodically we should review. So chapter 5 verse 20, there Sri Krishna gives very important instruction. Na prahrishyet priyam prapya no dvijet prapya cha priyam sthira buddhirasam mudho brahmavid brahmani sthitaha. Priyam prapya na prahrishyet. Priyam means agreeable, pleasant, good. Good happens, something pleasant happens. Na prahrishyet. One should not become too much elated. No, not too much exaltation. You become happy. Be happy when success comes, good things happen. But don't assume it will be like that forever. Next moment it will change. Na prahrishyet priyam prapya na udvijet prapya cha apriyam. Apriyam means unpleasant, sad, bad experience. Apriyam prapya na udvijet. We should not become too much disturbed in our minds when something unpleasant, bad happens. Equanimity. Samattam yoga vichyate. So ahimsa samata. Tushti, contentment. That also comes in many places. Santushto yena kena chit. In this 12th chapter case, remaining content with what we have. Last month I think I spoke about Sunday talk on contentment. Be content with what we have. Because what God gives, what we deserve or what we need. No need to be greedy for more things. Tushtihi, tapaha, austerity. In the 17th chapter, 18th chapter, we get all this list of things. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Tapas means austerity. Austerity can be sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. We will study them later. Tapas. Tapas, austerity is of 3 kinds. Austerity of the body, sariram tapaha. Austerity of speech, vangmayam tapaha. Austerity of mind, thinking, manasam tapaha. We will study all of them. Tapaha, danam, charity. How to give danam? Sattvic, rajasic, tamasic will come later. Charity. Yashaha, ayashaha. Fame and infamy. Sometimes people praise us, sometimes people blame us. Fame and infamy. All of these things, long list of things, beginning from verse 4 until first line of chapter 5. Bhavaha, bhutanam bhavaha, matta eva bhavanti. Pratigvidaha. Pratigvida means various types of experiences, good, bad, gain, loss, pain, pleasure, happiness, unhappiness, memory, loss of memory, all these things are happening to us all the time of different types, pratak vidaha. From where these things happen? He says, matta eva. Matta eva, from me alone. bhutanam bhavaha bhavanti. From me alone, these manifold states accrue to all beings. Why difference? Why some people are happy, some people are unhappy? Some people are successful, some people always fail, whatever they do. Why? Because in the commentary, Shankara says, Swakarmanurupena, depends upon our karma. What happens to us, good or bad, pain or pleasure, loss or gain, success or failure, depends upon our karma. That is the conclusion. So we have to accept what is the solution, what is our function right now. We have to practice samatvam. Whatever happens, good or bad, praise or blame, we have to accept everything calmly and go ahead with our duties. Yudhyacha. So that is the conclusion. We will stop here. Then we will continue next time by the grace of God. Let me say the closing prayer. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may all be happy. May all be free from diseases and other problems. May all have harmony among all the beings. May there be harmony among all beings. No ill will, no hatred. And may no one be subject to misery, suffering of any kind. Om peace. May there be peace and joy in our hearts. Adhyatmika Shanti. May there be amongst all beings. Adi Bhautika Shanti. May there be peace everywhere in nature. Adi Daivika Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Sri Ramakrishnaarpanamastu. All of you stay well, and God willing, we shall continue next week. Namaskar.